What's going on, guys? It's Dale the Airbrush guy, and I wanted to go over something that I get asked a lot. It's how do you take care of your airbrushes? How do you clean them at the end of the day and put them away and get them set up? The truth is I don't have to do that. I don't put my airbrushes away. I don't do anything special when I'm done painting. They just stay right there. What I do instead is I get them ready when I use them in the morning when I start painting. And I'm going to show you the process that I go through to get an airbrush that's been sitting ready to paint. Now, one of the first things I need to do is I need to mix this paint up. I also need to make sure that this air hole at the top, right there, is clear. If this air hole isn't clear, then when I paint and it pulls paint out of this bottle, it's going to create a vacuum, and it's going to be harder and harder for that paint to come out until it just won't come out at all. So I need to make sure the air hole is clear, and I need to shake up my paint. First thing is I visually look at that hole, and if I can tell that hole is clear, then I don't need to clear it. It's already there, so I can just shake it. I'll just shake it like this, and I'll be very careful to make sure that I'm not spraying paint or like splashing paint outside of the hole. I'll just give it a 1-2, and then when I'm done, I should be almost ready to paint. But if it is clogged, and I can tell that it's clogged, or if I'm not sure, then I'll go ahead and stick this needle in there and shake it. And if I do that, then I'll just really give it a good shake while I'm at it, and I'll be done. That's great for the paint that's in the bottle, but the paint that's still in this tube has not been shaken up yet. That paint is still separated and needs to be shaken too. The only way to do that is to get it out of the tube. So what I would do is back flush the airbrush. Back flushing is where you push your finger here and you pull back a little bit of air, and it will squirt the air backwards through the airbrush, through the tube, or up through the cup if you have a gravity-fed airbrush. And that will squirt the paint into the bottle, which I can then shake up and be good. If you're going to back flush your airbrush, you need to make sure that your air hole is clear. Otherwise, you're going to make a bunch of pressure in your bottle, which will ruin your day. Let me show you that just for fun. First of all, let me show you what back flushing looks like without the bottle on. All that paint that's still in that tube should still be in the tube. Check out the bottom of the tube when I put my finger on the end of the airbrush very lightly and then pull back on this trigger. We squirted all that paint out of the tube. Normally I would do that with the bottle on so that I don't waste the paint, but I wanted to show you. Alright, now I will show you what it's like to back flush a bottle without a clear air hole. This one you can see that the air hole is clogged, at least I think it's clogged. Now I'm going to back flush this a little bit by putting my finger again on the trigger, or on the needle, and pulling back the trigger just for a second. There's a little bit of pressure in that bottle. Now watch as I pull back the trigger without letting any air out. That is some mustard running down my shirt. That will ruin your shirt or your ceiling or your wall, or just make a big old mess. That's why it's so important to, if you're going to back flush, make sure that air hole is clear first. Now that the bottle's mixed up, now that the paint inside the tube is out, and you gave it a little shake, you should be perfectly good to actually start painting. No problem. You're done. And you do that for every airbrush as you go. You get quick at it. It takes about 10 seconds to do it. I'll show you again from scratch. If I was to grab a color today, I look at it, I see the hole looks like it's clear, but let's pretend it's not, just in case. Give it a poke, give it a shake. Now that I know the air hole is clear because this needle was in it, I can confidently back flush just for a second, get the paint out of the tube, another quick shake, and now the paint that comes out is going to be perfectly mixed, ready to paint without wasting anything. And we're clear. Other things that could go wrong with your airbrush from sitting for a while, you might have tip dry, which is the paint dried on top of this needle. You always pick that up as you're painting anyway, but it could be real caked on there. And your trigger could be a little sticky. This one's good. I'm going to see if I can find one that's not. Here we go. Here's one that is, I have a sticky trigger here. I pulled it back. It didn't want to spring forward all the way. We got one of these situations going on. That's because the needle inside of this is getting like stuck on some dried paint. You can see this is one I don't use a whole lot. It's actually dusty. So it's probably been sitting for at least a couple of weeks without me using it at all. So to fix that, super simple. I'm going to take my handle off the back. I'm going to loosen the chuck nut, and I'm going to pull the needle straight out. I'm going to wipe it off, see if there's any chunky paint. You can see there's a little bit of dried paint on the needle right there. Just kind of wipe that off with your fingernail or something, make sure there's nothing sticky. And I'm going to stick it right back into the airbrush. Make sure it's all the way flush with the front as you reset the needle as normal. And now my trigger should be perfectly good to go. And we are painting. Like, it's that. I didn't shake this paint up, you can see. Arrow's clear. Ready to go. And that is how I have so many airbrushes without having to worry about cleaning them at the end of the day. Hope you learned something. Have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm going to paint that TP, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.